Joining us now with legal analysis, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley. Simple question, maybe not so simple an answer. Jonathan.
Well, I hope that this can be avoided. But if you're asking the question of does he have the authority to invoke it, I think he does. The Insurrection Act is very generally worded. It allows a president to call out a military force in order to enforce the laws of the United States. That was done by Presidents Eisenhower and Kennedy in very similar circumstances. In those circumstances, you had local officials, including governors, who were extremely aggressive, anti-federal government, saying they would not assist in the enforcement of civil rights laws. These are obviously different laws. These are the immigration laws, but both are laws of the United States. And you have a governor here and a mayor who have been fueling the rage, telling people that they're under attack. You have Democratic senators just this week saying democracy might not last till November. All of that's creating the very volatile situation. So under the Insurrection Act, the president has a great deal of authority. What it gives the president is essentially a way around the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents him from using the military domestically. The Insurrection Act removes that barrier and allows him to call out troops, as did Eisenhower and Kennedy.
Well, I think obviously if order is not restored here, and in a moment I'm going to scroll all the people and the crimes that were committed by illegals in Minnesota and also around the country. We know about murder, we know about rape, and we know about other violent crimes. We know about drug dealing. We know we have known terrorists here. The fact that do you see a connection between the incendiary rhetoric of elected officials and the actions of people on the street? Have they dehumanized these agents? Have they created a false narrative that they somehow are not there to protect the community, but are somehow at war with the community?
I think there is clearly a connection. I just wrote a book about what I call the age of rage. That's what we're in. And you have people who want to ride that wave of rage. This has happened throughout our history, in which you have politicians that want to harness the power of the mob. What is ironic is that today's revolutionaries often turn out to be tomorrow's reactionaries. So it's very common for these establishment politicians to find themselves devoured by the very movements that they unleash. But we've had these types of situations before. It's very reckless, it's very irresponsible, and people are being harmed on both sides. But it's clear that the governor, the mayor do not want to ratchet down the rhetoric because they do see political advantage in this as the midterms approach and fraud investigations grow.
It's sad if you're doing this for political advantage. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Jonathan Turley, thank you tonight. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.